Well, in the evolution of my thinking about the brain, I became very involved with what might be called traditional clinical research. And in traditional clinical research, particularly when it involves understanding aging, we have this model that's been used for decades. And that model is that we identify people with the condition of interest. In my case, it would have been, or has been, Alzheimer's disease, but also the other condition of interest was healthy brain aging. So why do some people survive to advanced ages without becoming demented? And I, early on when I came to Oregon, identified a group of people who had, for them, been living without thinking they had anything wrong with them. These were people who were at advanced ages, 85 or older, who were in the community but had no memory problems, actually no health problems, and decided that, well, I decided before I came here that that would be the group to study. So we developed a study that's called the Oregon Brain Aging Study. And this study, which started over 20 years ago, is focused on understanding how people can age without cognitive decline, essentially, or other declines that their brain might bring to them. And in setting up this research study that's still operating, we relied on the methodologies that have been around for a long time and then try to modernize things as knowledge evolved over time. The basic methodology, though, has always been the detailed clinical evaluation on an annual basis. So typically people are asked to volunteer their time, and we do a thorough clinical examination, physical history examination. We test their cognitive function using standardized tests. These are usually paper and pencil kinds of tests, largely. We take a brain MRI scan of their brain and then study that to look at how the brain may change over time in those who successfully age or don't. We draw their blood and get biomarkers, look at DNA for genetic markers, and so forth. And this methodology has been continuing on an annual basis for now 20 years. And we've learned a lot from this, I think. We've learned that, first of all, unfortunately, people are not, who start out even at age 85 in excellent health, both general and brain health, nevertheless still become demented and are at high risk to develop dementia. It's just that they've escaped it for a longer period of time. We've learned that there are definite markers for whom will develop dementia prior to them even experiencing any obvious clinical symptoms. So through our cognitive tests, for example, we know now that there are certain subtle changes in cognitive performance that will predict those that are now going to, in several years, develop dementia that looks like Alzheimer's disease. We know, looking at the MRI scan, that there are certain changes in the brain, areas where volume is lost more than in other areas, that seems to predict those that will go on to develop Alzheimer's disease. And we actually even know that there are certain motor changes, movement changes, particularly, for example, walking speed changes years before an individual goes on to develop Alzheimer's disease. Now, this is all really useful in the sense that in order to prevent these changes from occurring, what you ideally want are markers that tells you that something's happening as early as possible, because that's when you would apply prevention and therapies. I think there's a strong realization now, as therapies for Alzheimer's disease are rapidly being tested, that we have a concern that maybe it's too late almost. We hope not, but one of the concerns is that the pathology that we find in the brain of somebody with Alzheimer's disease is rather widespread, and it may be that the treatments that we have would best be started as early as possible.